All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back. I'm going to try and do a better job at being more consistent with these videos. I've not been very consistent, but we're finally getting around to it. I do want to go get some videos of that as my schedule allows. But in the meantime, we'll do another build breakdown. And this one I'll call a build just because this was completely made by me, like strip upper, strip lower, all assembled by me. So I'll call this one a build, but we'll get right into it. So first off, I go over the concept of it. So this is obviously like a Mock18, a Mark 18 we have at home. I'm not super big on cloning. I just really like the Mark 18s. So I kind of wanted to do my own rendition of it. And then this is just kind of a good short, handy package. So this is actually currently my home defense setup. You know, there's never a perfect home defense setup, but I like this one. And I'll kind of go in to how I have it staged and some possible upgrades to it in the future. One of those being a can, and that brings us to the front. So we'll go ahead and jump right into it. So A2 birdcage. If you've seen my other videos, you know my opinions on the A2. If it's not suppressed, I don't see why you go with anything else, really and truly. And that kind of brings up a topic of discussion. What do you guys think? Do you think your home defense needs a suppressor? Obviously, if I shoot this off in the house, you know, I'll be deaf. I do have a pair of electronic earmuffs. You know, in a perfect world, I'd be able to throw those on. But in the heat of the moment, that's probably not going to happen. But I'm better with rifles than I am with pistols. And I feel more comfortable grabbing this than grabbing like one of my handguns or anything like that. So if, you know, someone were to be breaking in, this is what I would feel most comfortable with. So that's what I run. I'd rather be alive and deaf than dead. So that's kind of my thought process on it. I do want to get a can for it eventually, but haven't yet. So coming back from that, we have a Roscoe barrel. It is a 10.5, so it's not a true Mark 18 with a 10.3, but it's a 10.5. It is the Bloodline series of barrels. Nothing fancy about it. It's not chrome lined. It's not gold hammer forged. I think it's just like a nitride coating, but it's actually really good. Roscoe barrels are actually pretty tough and pretty accurate, and they're usually well gassed. So solid barrel. That kind of brings me to the gas system. It is just an Aero gas block, gas tube up in there. And then around it, we have I did not feel like, I kind of try to keep this nice, but more budget. This is kind of like an intermediate price range. So I did not want to spend like $400 or $500 on a Daniel Defense rail. Well, $300 or $400. So this is just a Midwest Combat quad rail. Super good. I have no complaints with it. It's really rigid and locks up nice. Super easy to install, and it looks really sweet in my opinion. I've got some rail ladders just to kind of keep my little baby hands from getting cut up on the cheese grater. And they do a pretty good job at that. Coming here on the flip side, flashlight setup. So it's an Arisaka. This is kind of a Frankenstein light. So we have a Arisaka Picatinny offset mount that connects to an Arisaka body. Let's see. With a Malkoff head and a Surefire clicky tail cap. I don't really need or want, I don't want to risk like a tape switch going out like whenever I need it. So I'd rather just have a clicky tail cap. And the way I kind of run, I can just easily reach over and grab it and actuate the light as I need to. I do have this was actually a 100 Concepts scope cap, but I just reused it here as a light cap. And I have it on here in case I need it, but whenever I have this staged, I have the light cap back. Just because that's one less thing I want to have flipped over or have to do if I need to actuate a light, like in a high stress situation. Emissary development handbrake. These are sweet. Vertical foregrip, or no, excuse me, no, angled foregrip, but the way I kind of grab, it actually works kind of like perfectly. I love the look of a 10.5 quad rail with fixed irons. So I have a set of Daniel Defense fixed irons. They work really great. No, I cannot see them through this optics setup, but it's a QD, so I can usually rip this off and have complete access to the iron sights if I need them. And then we'll jump into the optic setup. So it is a Unity riser. It's the, this is the EXPS3 from EOTech. So it's already the lower 1/3 co-witness. So this is like the shorter riser, just to get it up just a touch. And I actually really like this setup a lot. I can still get a good cheek weld, but it's not like, you know, it's not so high that I'm breaking my neck, or so low that I'm breaking my neck. If I ever get into night vision, this would be a great night vision host. Just with the quad rail to hold 0 on like a aiming module. And then also the EOTech is arguably one of the best like passive aiming. Is that right? That may not be right, but it's one of the best like optics to use under night vision. Okay, so the gun is clear, and I guess we'll go into the charging handle. So if you watched my last video, you know I love the Raptor. This is a super old one, which is cool. You can't see it all the way, but it's by AXTS. This is like an old school Raptor. I've had this forever, and I think that kind of speaks volumes of it, with it being just so reliable. Super good charging handle. Bolt carrier is a Lantac M-Spec. It's the one with the domed cam pin. They say that's supposed to reduce wear on the upper and the bolt carrier. I don't know, maybe it's just a gimmick, but it's Lantac's a pretty good company, and it was on sale, so I picked it up. Sling setup. So I have it retained with one of these little bungees you get from T-Rex Arms. Nothing fancy about it. You just kind of tuck the sling in, and then whenever you need it, you just rip it out. And then you can see I have it permanently attached by way of a Magpul Picatinny sling mount. And it just kind of, I've got it threaded through. So I think that's everything on the upper. So we will get into the lower. You guys have to forgive me if you hear, if it feels like I'm breathing hard. I just mowed the yard, so, and I push mow. So, all right, the lower. So again, I'm lefty. So this is my interpretation of like a lefty lower, ambi lower at home. So we'll start with the safety selector. So it's a Talon. Again, I love these. They're great. Nothing really more to say about it. We have a bad lever. The way I actuate a bad lever, if I need to hold the bolt, you know, I just rip back on the charging handle and press down. And as long as you're not like being negligent, I don't think you're going to go in. I mean, you can do it way up here. You're nowhere near getting into that trigger guard. And then if the bolt's locked back on a reload, whenever you come in, you throw your new mag in, and then you just, right here, boom. If you sweep straight down, you're not going to have any issues getting in that trigger guard. If you just do your due diligence, you're not going to have any issues, in my opinion. Troy, ambi magazine release. It's a little out of the way. I don't have huge hands, but I can still reach it and still actuate it. So, yeah. LaRue MBT2S trigger with the flat face. It's a great trigger, in my opinion. I don't really know if I like it in this setup, but it's rocking and rolling for now, and it's a pretty solid trigger. K2 grip, again, love these. We have a SBA3 brace. This is just an arrow, I believe. Yeah, just an arrow receiver extension and like castle nut and end plate. I do need to stake this, don't make fun of me. And then sitting in here is a Geisley Super 42 braided swing with an spring with an H1 buffer. It actually like kind of really tames, I mean, it's 5.56, so it's not going to be super punchy anyways, but it is a shorter barrel, so it might be a little bit more snappy, but that Super 42 actually does really well, and the ejection on this is almost perfect. And then I guess the last thing is the sling. So this is a super cheap, but actually not bad. There's a dude, if you've watched, again, some of my other videos, there's a subreddit called Guns Accessories for Sale. You can get a lot of great stuff at like a discounted price. It's just like a secondhand market. There's a dude on there. If I can find his subreddit, I'll link it. But he makes these slings. Now, they're not like the thickest in the world, but he does this at home. And I mean, for like something this dude's doing in his like garage or something, like it's a nice sling. And they're super cheap. Like the non-patterned slings are like 15, and I think this was like 18, and that's like shipped. So less than 20 bucks for a pretty solid sling that does have, it's a 2-point sling that does have adjustability. You about can't beat it. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Tell me what you guys think. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? I'm sure there's a lot, but I like it. And again, this is what I'm most comfortable with. And I think that's what it boils down to. Like if you're going to have something that, you know, God forbid, again, I hope I never, ever, ever have to use this beyond like a recreational use. But if you do have to use that, you want to have something you're comfortable with. And this is just one of the things, what I'm most comfortable with in the house, with it being a little bit shorter and it's still a rifle. I can still get all my points of contact and it shoots well. It's reliable. I put it together myself, so I kind of have a sweet spot for it. But yeah, tell me what you guys think. Thanks.